Hey there, creepy peeps. Last month I laid out some of my most anticipated horror books of 2024, but there were so many more that I did not get to mention in the video. So here we are again in release date order. Here are 8 more. Is it 8? It's 8 more horror books that you should definitely be adding to your TBR for this year. On March 26th, we have our first entry in just my own little competition here for most beautiful horror cover of the year, and that is Diola by Jennifer Thorne. So the book follows Anna, who doesn't really fit in with her family much, her very dysfunctional family, but every year they go on this annual family vacation and they go to this remote villa. The locals are giving them really unsettling kind of warnings, and they start hearing strange noises at night, and basically it becomes a vacation from hell. This is supposed to be a darkly funny gothic tale from the sounds of it. It's being advertised as unhinged specifically, like they use that word, and I feel like unhinged is like my new buzzword. Like if you if you tell me something is unhinged, I will listen to it, I will watch it, I will read it, etc. Then on April 16th we have Immortal Pleasures by V. Castro. I can't really pin down what this book is gonna be like, but the summary says it follows an Aztec vampire whose people were destroyed by the conquistador that she translated for, like way back in the day before she was immortal. And now in the modern world, she travels to Dublin looking for some artifacts that connect to her past, and she encounters 2 men that like pique her interest. One being a horror novelist that doesn't seem fazed at all by her immortality, and the other is an immortal just like her. And the summary kind of makes that like the focus, so it kind of sounds like, is this like a horror romance or something? There is something about the summary though, I feel like there's just like something missing. Like I get the feeling that this could be like a surprise, good for her kind of tale, so I'm not sure. I don't know, it's just something about the summary seems a little vague. So all right, so next I am including a thriller on this list only because I am so excited for this book and the Barnes & Noble exclusive cover that's coming out for it. So on April 30th we'll get Home is Where the Bodies Are by Geneva Rose. Like the cover, hello. The Barnes & Noble exclusive is going to have a slip cover to complete the nostalgic VHS feel of this. The sense of theater is unmatched. More creative book packaging like this, please. But anyways, the story follows 3 siblings after the death of their mother who gather at their family home. And while they're going through their mother's things and all that and reminiscing and things like that, they find a VHS tape that features both of their parents and a dead body, and a secret that their parents have apparently agreed to never speak about again. So the book kind of follows that story and how they choose to deal with this information. It's like an Insta intriguing kind of hook. I immediately want to know what's on the tape and what the parents did. So I really can't wait to read this one. I haven't read a Geneva Rose book yet. I have The Perfect Marriage on my TBR though. If anyone's read her books, let me know in the comments what you thought about it. So then on May 14th, we have the second entry in my personal most beautiful horror cover contest. And it just so happens to be a Creepy Book Club pick for this year, and that is My Darling Dreadful Thing by Joanna Van Veen. The story seems very twisty from the jump. It follows Roos, it's spelled R-O-O-S. Well, I hope Roos is the right way to say it. Anyways, Ruth has a ghostly companion that's been dead for many, many years that only she can see. And this companion is the light of her life until Ruth meets Agnes, a very real person who she has an instant connection with, and there's like an instant attraction there between the two. But then suddenly someone is murdered, and Ruth, with her history of hysterics, is the #1 suspect. There's something kind of nostalgic about this summary. Like you have a character who I imagine not only can see like this one dead person, but can see other dead people and communicate with them. I'm just assuming. And I can only imagine she's gonna have to use that skill to figure out who actually committed the murder. And that summary just feels like right out of like my teenage reading years. I don't know, it's just something nostalgic about it. I really like it. I'm drawn to it. And as I mentioned, this is a Creepy Book Club pick for June specifically. And with that sapphic storyline, it's going to be a perfect read for Pride Month as well. Also coming out on May 14th is The House That Horror Built by Christina Henry. This story follows Harry, who is an avid horror fan, and she lands a cleaning job for famed and now reclusive horror director Javier Castillo. But one day while on the job, Harry hears a voice coming from a locked room calling for help in Castillo's home, and she has to decide if she's gonna risk the job that she loves to potentially uncover something that's really, really sinister going on. I think the premise is cool and simple. Like, it could go so many different ways just from that jump. It could be something supernatural. It could be like very realistic kind of horror. I love the meta-ness of the story as well. With this being about a horror fan and a horror director, kind of reminds me of Night Film a little bit in that way. And this isn't the only horror book coming out this year that has like a meta horror twist to it. And I kind of wonder if that's going to be like one of the big themes of horror lit this year or in the coming years. I was lucky enough to snag a digital arc of this on NetGalley, and what I've read so far, it's gonna be good, y'all. So we have more meta horror coming our way on June 11th with the very simply titled Horror Movie by Paul Tremblay. So the story follows the only surviving cast member of a cult horror film made back in the 90s. But our survivor, our sole survivor, is the only one who remembers the bizarre events of the shoot that ended in tragedy. And even still, he agrees to be a part of the remake of this cult classic. This sounds like a super mind-bendy premise. I like that the summary is kept very vague. You don't know what happened on this shoot, so that's something it's like I instantly want to know. It feels very psychological. That's the vibes I'm getting from this. Of course, I love the meta horror themes. Like, keep them coming. I love this. Also coming out on June 11th is Cucko by Gretchen Felker Martin, and any Creepy Book Club peeps will remember back when it came out, we did read Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin as well. But Cucko specifically follows a group of queer kids that are forced to go to Camp Resolution, which is a conversion camp. 16 years later, the survivors have to put an end to the horror they experienced before it's too late. And I'm quoting the summary here from the book. It says the fate of the world depends on it. It's also super vague. Like, there's almost nothing to the summary. Like, I was barely paraphrasing. Super vague. But if I could guess based on that, Manhunt was definitely very dystopian and post-apocalyptic. So I'm thinking maybe Cucko kind of has those vibes as well. But I think this might work in our favor though. Maybe the less we know going in, the better. So either way, I'm intrigued. I'm excited to read it and figure out what the fuck is going on here. All right, and finally on June 18th, we have another meta horror. I told y'all this was gonna be a theme this year. That is How to Make a Horror Movie and Survive by Craig DeLuey. So the book follows a hit horror director who is just putting out all of the most successful slasher movies back in the 80s, but he's looking for new opportunities to kind of break away from the slasher cycle and make something new and something truly terrifying. So in the search for this, he finds this old movie camera that has its own very dark history and sets out to hopefully make what he thinks is going to be the most terrifying film ever made with a most likely cursed film camera. What I love about this synopsis, just right off the bat, is that we have a protagonist who they're making it clear that he is kind of tired of just always making slasher movies all the time. But then this synopsis sounds straight out of a slasher movie. Like, I love the meta-ness of that. So I'm super excited to read How to Make a Horror Movie and Survive this year. Did I miss any books coming out 2024 that you're super excited about? Let me know. And make sure you watch my previous list of 2024 horror book releases. You can really stack out that TBR this year. I will see you on Friday with a new video. Until then, stay strange. Bye.